Hi, everyone. Welcome to the LA Sober podcast. Please support the brand. That's how we're able to keep these things rolling. You can support the brand. You can check it out at lasober.com. We got some good merch. We got the Make Los Angeles Sober Again hats. You wear these, you get the looks. And then we also have some good merch there. And then you can also follow us on all the socials at We Are LA Sober. And then you can check out the podcast, and we have clips up there as well on YouTube, and it's under LA Sober. So before we get into it today, I just want to say that again, the podcast is educational and for information only. LA Sober and its guests do not condone or promote the use of drugs, legal or illegal. Always consult a licensed medical professional before trying any of these new substances, supplements, or treatments. We're here to open a conversation and not give any medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I may play one on TV. Just kidding. Anyways, today we have Ryan Latreille on. Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
And Ryan's with Kanna Extract Co. And Ryan, we met last Saturday at the Psychedelic Summit in Venice.
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it was great to meet you. And, I am excited to learn more about Kanna. I had no idea what Kanna was before I met you. And so today we are going to explore Kanna as a legal plant-based mood enhancer. And we're going to learn about it, and we're going to dumb it down for someone like myself that knows nothing about Kanna.
Most people haven't heard of Kanna yet, so that's
okay.
Where we'll start.
Cool. So let's jump in. Where are you from, Ryan?
I grew up in LA County in Santa Clarita, if you know where that is.
I do know where that's at.
Not far from here.
Right by Magic Mountain.
Correct. That was like right next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your childhood?
It was great. I grew up in the suburbs of LA. I mean, when they depict suburbs in movies, like they usually use Santa Clarita as the location where they film those. So very, I think it was a good childhood.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the show Weeds.
I was gonna say Weeds actually used the neighborhood I grew up in.
That is so funny
for that opening sequence.
How good is that? That was such a good. Like, I don't watch any TV. I just don't for some reason. I whatever. But that is one show I did watch with my wife.
Have you ever seen Edward Scissorhands?
No.
It's a Tim Burton film.
Yep.
And Tim Burton went to Cal Arts, which is it's in Santa Clarita, and so he was making fun of the suburban track housing in that movie when he depicts like the neighborhood that Edward.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I look back at how I came up, and I grew up in Palm Springs, and there was a lot of downtime and a lot of boredom, and then I think with that there's a lot of partying, and I got into partying at a very early age, and I think that's why I am where I am now. Did you party as a kid? Did you?
No.
No.
No, not very. I think I was a pretty good kid. I mean, I had never even been high in my life until I was 26. Was the first time.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that was in a facilitated psychedelic experience. So I did, I started drinking alcohol senior year of high school and, the first couple years of college, but that was about it.
Where did you go to school? College?
I went to Cal State Northridge.
Okay.
And then, growing up in Santa Clarita, I had friends that went to UCSB, UCLA, SDSU.
That's where I went.
Yeah, so lots of partying.
Out of control.
Lots of partying.
Yeah. I lived in El Conch, and El Conch was like a private dorm, and it was just bonkers, dude.
We would travel to whatever friend went to that school to go to the really good parties.
So you were smart, Ryan. So you went to a school close by. You got your work done. You were probably a really good student based off of what I can tell so far from you. And then you go party, but then you come back and get your work done.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was not like that.
And you know, I really would say I only partied maybe the first 2 years of school, and then kind of grew out of that even by the second year.
So you never thought of you never had a problem with drinking or partying or being like addicted to anything?
No, like I discovered pretty fast that I really did not enjoy the way alcohol made me feel. Like I felt sick afterwards.
Yep.
And so just naturally grew out of it. And then when I later got into psychedelics, you know, after college, then I really couldn't, I don't know what happened, but I couldn't do alcohol at all without it really just not feeling well afterwards.
And when you say not feeling well, was it like physically, emotionally?
Just getting a headache. Like,
oh, okay.
After just like one glass of wine.
That's great.
Like not even.
I mean, it's not great, but it's because I mean it's fucking poison. So.
Yeah. So fortunately, I've never really had an issue with any substances. But yeah, definitely grew out of alcohol pretty quick.
Okay, and then when you got done with school, did you dive into this, or did you go into like a career and then you were doing that and then it was kind of boring, or?
Yeah, so my the last summer of college, like before my senior year in college or last year of college, I did an internship at a 9-to-5 job, and it was the first time in my life I'd ever worked a 9-to-5, and I had a crisis around this can't be what's waiting for me after all this. And so what I decided to do was, after college, I lived out of my car for a year and visited all the national parks in the contiguous United States. This is before like van life, really before Instagram. This is like, early Facebook days. And yeah, I hit almost every national park in the country.
Wait, so Ryan, you after college, you lived out of your car and you drove around the nation and you visited every national park there is, or 95% of them.
All the really good ones and a lot of the small ones, and was gone for a whole year, like just camping, car camping, and then yeah, so I did that for a year.
By yourself, or did you have a girlfriend with you, or a friend, or? By
myself. Sometimes, I'd have a friend come out to like go see the Grand, they'd fly out and go do the Grand Canyon with me or something, but 99% by myself, or just meeting people on the road. That's a really cool.
Oh my God, I could do a whole podcast. Yeah, that is amazing.
A lot of really cool adventures, and I had never like really seen the country. I didn't grow up going to the national parks or even really doing a lot of camping, and it was a life-changing experience. I mean, it changed everything for me. And yeah, when I came back, my first job out of college was, we're here in LA. I don't know if most your community is in LA listening, but there's a Creation juicery here in LA.
What's it called?
Creation Juicery.
Oh yeah.
There's one in Montana.
Yeah.
And now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So I was one of their first employees at their juice operation, and it was while I was working there. That was my first job out of college. Was working for Creation, and it was while I was working there that one of my customers, invited me to this facilitated psychedelic experience.
Okay.
Which set me on the path.
Yep.
To Kanna.
Going back, when you were traveling throughout the U.S., at that point you're probably getting high, or were you?
Nothing.
Wait, you were completely sober?
I had never done. Like I tried to smoke weed a few times when I was in college, and I don't know if I was doing it right, but I never got high from it. Was not drinking at this time. Was not. Yeah. Just Yeah, no substance-free experience the whole year.
That is crazy.
I wonder if I'm a good guest.
No, I love this.
Okay.
No, because I mean, I while I just don't drink booze, I partake in most things besides that, but I actually really do enjoy just being completely sober as well, and that's when I'm the best. But I don't know, with the stress I have, I don't like to be completely sober at all times, which is, I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but that's the way I roll at this point.
Well, I definitely have a very strong appreciation for psychedelic substances now, and I think having not done anything and like the context in which I was introduced to it set me up for having a really good relationship with these compounds. Okay,
so you're working at a juicery, Creation, which I'm trying to think of the one I love. I love I forgot the name of it. It's like a berry one, but then I get it without something else when I put some. Anyways, yeah, I used to go there a lot. Now it's just so expensive. I'm like, I just can't keep blowing so much money there. But now my daughters go there all the time, so I am helping them pay, because we live in Brentwood. So.
Oh yeah. So I don't know if there's one on this side of town, but the Montana Avenue one, that's the very first location.
Yeah. So there's one on Montana. There's one on Barrington Court.
Okay, so there's one closer.
Yeah. All right. So the first time, what was that? So someone invited you over, or you went somewhere? Or?
So this is back in 2012. So the landscape around psychedelics looked a lot different than it does today. It's very underground, and it was a lot of therapists doing this. This was a pretty large group in Los Angeles, where a lot of therapists were bringing their clients to this one big group. And anyway, it was like to kind of describe the set and setting. It's people that have these experiences somewhat frequently, like once every 3 months, so like once a quarter, and they do it in a house. And the house is like set up for an event like this, where it's like nice and quiet. There's nice relaxing music playing. There's comfortable places to sit or lay. The light isn't too bright, and then there's people that are there that aren't taking anything, that are dedicated to like helping facilitate the experience and keeping people safe.
So kind of like a Sharma? Is that what kind of like that type of a?
Yeah, I would say not a traditional plant medicine ceremony where there's like a shaman that's singing songs. I would say this was definitely more like Americanized or westernized, and it was mostly facilitated by therapists that had been doing this kind of work for years and years. And and so I showed up at this house. There's all these people. I'd never been high in my entire life. I've never even done a yoga class in my life up until this point. So
right.
Zero context for what I'm walking into.
Jumping in a pool with no water.
Yeah. So, and I also lived out of my car for a year before anyone.
So you saw a lot. Like you were.
I was up for adventure, I would say, and I was given a combination of MDMA and the plant that is now the focus of my work. Kanna is the name of this plant. And the experience was, for those who have tried MDMA, I would say the combination makes it a lot softer, like more gentle, but still a really beautiful, strong heart opening. And so, not only did I experience my first altered state, but also my first heart opening experience, and it changed the rest of my life.
And when you say heart opening, what does that mean to you?
To try to describe it to someone who's never experienced MDMA and had a real heart opening is hard to do. And I think it is probably subjective to the person that's taking it. For me, one of the first things that I felt was all this weight just melting away from my shoulders. Like, it almost felt physical, like all this weight melting away, and I didn't even know how much weight I was carrying until I had that experience. Simultaneously, it's like an intense awareness of your emotions and being able to put words to it, and I, at least for me, I don't think I had like the vocabulary to even understand what I was feeling before that. And there's something about that substance that all of a sudden you're able to really be with your own emotions, and then when you're in a group setting like that, able to connect with people with more emotional intelligence, if that
yeah, fully. And was there anyone there that had bad trips at all?
At that journey?
Yeah.
Definitely people that so funny story, that particular journey, the people that were facilitating it, they misencapsulated one of the substances that they were
so they gave too much,
like 10x, like an order of magnitude too much.
Holy shit.
And so some people were there and it was their first journey ever, and they were having full-blown like ego death experiences. I don't know if you know what that means.
No.
Like, an ego death is like, typically it happens when you take a tryptamine compound like mushrooms or ayahuasca, where it's like you take so much that your ego dissolves, and it can be a very, very disorienting, traumatic experience. It can be a very beautiful experience, but it can also be very traumatizing and disorienting if you've never done that kind of work before.
And when you say that, so your ego goes away, so everything like that you think of yourself as like good and makes you kind of who you are, and your swagger is gone, and you're just sitting there going, fuck, who am I?
Kind of. There's layers to an ego dissolving experience, and you know, as you go down those layers, I would say at the base is like an experience of non-duality. It's truly an indescribable experience. You can't use language to describe what that is, but the best attempt is like a non-dualistic state of reality where everything is one.
Okay.
And then, you know, along that journey, you know, how you identify as an individual, everything you know about yourself just begins to erode away as you approach that space. And
once you did that, you enjoyed it.
That was not my experience.
No, I know, but once you did the first one, you got high, you liked it. Not high, but you had
I was definitely high.
but you had this overall experience that was very positive for you.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's so important about people creating relationships with these substances, is that, you know, like any kind of relationship to anyone or anything, it's like what you put into it is what you get out of it. And these compounds do have a lot of potential for a lot of healing, for a lot of, you know, help with mental health, if used in right relationship. And so for me, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever felt in my life up until that point. And, you know, I didn't have anything going on. I was working at a juice bar making minimum wage, and so I, you know, went all in on just learning everything that I could about plant medicines.
Do you think that, from my experience, people that have a difficult time letting go of control have a problem with doing any type of substance, because they worry that, oh my God, what am I feeling? This isn't right. And I feel like, you know, if you let yourself go and you just trust the process, it's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's hard to make generalizations when it comes to this kind of work, because it's so complex, and why someone has difficulty letting go of control could be something very simple or something very, very traumatic. And a lot of times, like, the more traumatic it is, the less people are even aware of what is beneath the surface. And so that's typically when people can have a really traumatic experience or bad trip or something, is that they're, you know, encountering something within themselves that they didn't even know was there, let alone are they equipped both with the internal tools as well as like the external resources to be able to encounter an experience like that or what's in there.
Yeah, I mean, I say this before, is that, you know, when I was younger, I mean, we would smoke weed, and then in college we would smoke, and I did it, and to be honest with you, I really didn't even like it. I just did it because I thought it was cool, and I felt like when I would do it, I had so much going on internally, and I wasn't able to even deal with it. And then I would just think about all my problems. And as I've gotten older and I've become more confident with who I am and okay with who I am, I now can enjoy it. But I know many people that they just can't, because they just aren't quite there yet.
Yeah, and I think different substances can help people build up to that place. You know, cannabis is kind of in a category of its own, but one of the main categories of psychedelic substances is called entheogens.
What's it called?
Entheogens, meaning they produce like spiritual experiences. So mushrooms would fall into this, LSD falls into this, ayahuasca falls into this, and those are ones that they can be very, very challenging. But the empathogens are compounds that produce empathy, is where that word comes from. They're also called heart openers. This is MDMA, 2CB, Kanna is in this category. The experience that you have with that is much more gentle, and so it like brings you into those deeper layers that I was describing in a way, like it's more gradually introducing you to what's there in a way that feels a lot safer. So I think for a lot of people, those can be good entry points should they choose to explore psychedelics and altered states. And Kanna in particular is super gentle, very functional. It's legal here in the U.S., and so I think it has a lot of use cases here for people. And I think it's a very special plant, which is why so much of my focus is on Kanna.
Okay. So you had this first experience, and then after that, did you start to do them more frequently?
I did, yeah.
Did you travel across the nation again, and then you started to do them more?
There was so much happening just here in Los Angeles at that time. I didn't have to journey very far, but I mean, I went to Peru and did ayahuasca in the Amazon. There's a lot of ayahuasca being grown in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii and did ayahuasca.
Where?
Where's the vine? The vine is growing all over Hawaii, but this was Kauai in particular.
Okay. But
it's all over Kauai, Big Island, Maui, growing literally in the jungle there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so you learn more and more about it, and then you thought, I'm gonna start my own company. Is that how that went, or?
No, so I worked within that facilitated ceremonial space, learning as much as I could. I was really all in on that for a year, and then when that year ended, I met a mycologist named Paul Stamets, who is now very famous from, I don't know if you've seen the documentary Fantastic Fungi.
No.
It's a really cool documentary.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
But this is way before that documentary came out, and he was just at this trade show I was at, Expo West here.
I know that thing's massive. So we go there every year.
I had a friend just randomly invite me to go with him and just to see it. And
what year was this?
I guess this was now 2014.
Okay.
And this guy he's a very famous mushroom dude. He's written a lot of books about mushrooms, and he was there giving away copies of his most recent book that he had written. I took it back to my hotel room that night and read it almost cover to cover, and I knew, okay, mushrooms are going to be a big part of my life now. And at that time, he used to teach these workshops up at his facility in Washington, so I went up there and learned how to grow mushrooms, and started growing all kinds of functional mushrooms, and eventually I started a functional mushroom company called Hearthstone Collective, and that was my entry point into learning how to design a product, learning how to source other ingredients, learning how to source packaging and assemble a product, like literally doing this all by hand myself. And then you know, once you have a product, then you have to learn how to sell it to people. So then I learned how to, I mean, I don't know if you have a question. It feels like you have a question just about to burst out.
It is. So I trip out on this, that mushrooms aren't legal here, but they're everywhere.
I'm talking about functional mushrooms.
Okay.
I'm talking about functional mushrooms. Yeah.
Okay.
Lion's mane.
Yeah. Okay.
Cordyceps.
Okay.
those kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay. And then you did that for a bit.
Yeah. So I started that. Like, I mean, many years were spent just trying to figure out how to grow mushrooms. And then at that time, I spent many years just visiting different permaculture farms. Like,
I feel so dumb around you.
Intentional. I'm sure there's a lot you know about media that I do not know.
Yeah, but this is like, whoa.
Permaculture. Have you heard the word permaculture before? So like regenerative agriculture.
Yep.
So I spent many years, that was really my focus, and did not have any inclination to do anything in business. Like, really did not care about money at that point. It was just kind of money appeared when I needed it, but I was like living more like a hippie than. I could show you a picture of me with like long hair.
Oh, we're going to get that on the podcast.
And yeah, it wasn't until 2017-ish that I started to play around with like learning how to make tinctures and doing mushroom extracts. And then in 2018, I had like created my first product with like professional packaging and all of that. And then 2019, I started Hearthstone Collective. And then I would say 2020 was when when I really just got my act together and kind of figured out what I was doing. And I think the sales component had like built up enough velocity that I actually had like a good cash flow coming in. And then, I would say it was a pretty solid company by 2020. And then it was around that time that that microdosing was becoming a lot more popular. And so that was when I looked at Kanna, because I wanted something, like I wanted to build a microdosing product or a microdosing company that, was legal.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. that had, that was psychoactive, like had an ingredient that was psychoactive, that had real efficacy for mental health, and that had a real lineage as a plant medicine. And Kanna just checked all of those boxes. And yeah, the more I researched it, the more I realized that there was something really important here with this plant. And so I did create a line of products with Kanna for this first company, and in the journey of just trying to find the best Kanna possible, I realized that there was a real need to do what I'm doing now with Kanna Extract Company, which is my focus, which is working directly on the ground with farmers in South Africa to bring people the best Kanna possible.
Okay, so before we get into that, so when you got done with school, you had the job, and then you went traveling, what did your parents think? Or your friends think?
I think, well, this coincided immediately with the collapse, like 2008 financial crisis.
Yep.
So that was when I was doing this. So I think everyone was just like
fuck.
Yeah. So and it was a very interesting time to travel around the country too. I was posting photos of my trip on Facebook at the time, and I mean, people thought it was awesome, but I was fully in my own world, and I think that was the most important part about that trip for me, was whatever expectations I had for myself and my life that were just from culture or like growing up or from society, whatever you want to call it, like not even making it so intense as like societal expectations, but just, I don't know, what I thought about myself and what I wanted for my life, like all of that pressure went away when I was on that trip. And luckily this was before social media really existed in the way that it does today. And so I don't know, I really got in touch with like what I cared about, and the experiences that I was having in nature were the closest thing to like mystical experiences that I had ever had up until that point. And so I think that really did prime me for the journeys into the internal mystical landscapes when I eventually discovered psychedelics.
Awesome. Okay, so what is Kanna in the simplest terms? Like for someone that has no idea what it is. Like when you kind of talked about it, but
Kanna is a plant medicine from South Africa, and it contains unique psychoactive compounds that aren't found anywhere else on the planet. They would be categorized as an empathogen or a heart opener. So what people typically feel when they take Kanna is feeling like more open socially and emotionally, more like connected. They feel happier, and simultaneously they feel more grounded and calm. I would say it's, if you had a spectrum of intensity of like how strong a substance is, and you have, I don't know, like ashwagandha on one end, or say lion's mane on one end, and then on the other end you have LSD, or like Kanna's in the middle.
Okay.
I would say it's like maybe there with like a strong dose of caffeine or a strong dose of kava, but the effects are different than both of those. Like the effects are more like you just feel really happy and nice when you take it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how does someone take it? Like,
there's lots of different ways to take it. I think where it starts is you need to make sure that the alkaloid, call it the alkaloid concentration, so the compounds that are inside the plant that are responsible for the effects that you feel, like THC for cannabis, you need to make sure those are high enough within your Kanna product in order to actually like feel a felt effect. Like just like if you were to take cannabis and it has no THC in it, you're not going to feel anything from it. So that's where it starts, and then there's different ways to ingest it. So, we sell a lot of just the pure extract powder of the plant, and that powder you can mix into a drink. You can just put a little into your tongue. You can take it intranasally. You can infuse it into edibles and drinks. So all those different ways. You can smoke it. And
are there a lot of companies out there right now that maybe are saying it's Kanna, but it's Kanna with like some type of filler in it or things that aren't as
it's possible. I don't actually maybe I should pay more attention to what other people are doing and what else is out there product wise. I think I suppose it's possible that people are like saying it's Kanna and putting something else in it, and that's why it would be really important to have lab tests. Like we have third-party lab tests on everything that we make. I think more of what's happening is that people are selling what's being called Kanna, but it has no active levels of these compounds. The main one being mesembrine. So without knowing the amount of mesembrine that's in your Kanna product, you really don't know what you're buying.
And so you get your Kanna from South Africa, and then do you import it here and then you do something with it here, or does it come from there and it's already
Yeah, so we grow the plant in South Africa. I think I may have showed you videos of the farms.
I don't think.
I can show you after.
Okay.
Yeah, so the plant's grown in South Africa. We do the primary extracts there. I import the extracts here to the United States, and then here in the United States we manufacture everything from capsules to different edibles like chocolates, gummies, sublingual tinctures. I mean, you name it. All the finished products are made here in the U.S.
Okay, and then you also then make your own product, but then you also sell.
That's primarily what we do, is provide other brands with their Kanna Extract to make their products with.
And are you seeing that business just continue to increase just because it's now becoming more and more out there? And
definitely Kanna is becoming, like, I mean, last year we couldn't, like, South Africa could not grow enough Kanna last year to meet the demand. This year a lot more Kanna is being grown. And yeah, I mean, I'm noticing a significant jump in the interest in it, and the amount of brands that want to do products with it. I think it's a very interesting ingredient, especially as psychedelics become more
mainstream.
Yeah, more mainstream and more talked about, and more people are curious about them. I think people are just interested in plants that make you feel things. And also brands are looking for some kind of hero ingredient that actually activates their product, like where people really feel something from it.
So when you say that, like what would be another product out there that someone would put it into, like if they have a tea?
Tea is a good one. I mean, one of the most popular ones right now is the non-alcoholic beverage space. Is, like, you know, as millennials and Gen Z is becoming the primary consumer, like, they don't drink as much alcohol, and they're, you know, so there's a lot more demand for beverages that they can insert into that space that you actually feel something when you take it. And Kanna is, I think, the prime candidate. Like, kratom is a big one, kava is a big one, but they're both like depressant in their effects, where Kanna is euphoric in its effect, and so it's a prime candidate for that.
So I was actually last year we were working on a skincare product, and the way that it dissolves into the system, it was called nano, like, that's the way that they said it was.
Okay.
And then they actually have a kratom shot. And so I tried it actually here. I tried it inside my conference room here, and I've never done kratom. I never heard of kratom. And I tried it, and I did like it. I will say that, because I've done my share of that. And while I enjoy it, the next day I'm so tired. Like, for whatever reason, that stuff just zaps me the next day. Like, it really makes me super tired the next day.
I personally really like kratom. Kratom is becoming more and more controversial, primarily because of the people that sell kratom and their, you know, some of their behavior. But, you know, I'm very open in terms of, I think people should have access to whatever they want. And kratom has amazing use cases especially for pain.
Oh, for sure.
It's like one of the best, like, and especially if you're comparing it to, like, synthetic opioids.
Oh, exactly.
Like, this is a much better option. But I think a lot of people don't quite appreciate how addictive it can be. And so that's a big danger point with that in the supplement space. And then I think it creates a lot of negative stigma, because then people get addicted and they didn't, you know, no one told them how addictive it was. But I think when used responsibly, whether it's for pain or even used socially but used occasionally, it has a lot less toxicity than alcohol does.
For sure. Yeah. So I fractured my leg in 3 places 4 months ago. I had a really bad snowboarding injury. I thought I was Shaun White. And I have done kratom since then. And when I drink it, like at times I'm like, oh my God, my pain's gone. Like I could walk and not feel any pain at all, which is amazing. Instead of taking, a Vicodin or whatever else.
Now you can't even get decent pain meds.
Yeah.
So, and I think that has contributed to the fentanyl crisis more than anything, is that you get the whole country addicted to opioids.
Yep.
Then you take away people's access to their opioids, and it's, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
So,
is with going back to Kanna, is there a hangover? Is there a like when you're done with it, you feel like, oh my God, like I miss that. I want that feeling again.
Yeah. So Kanna binds to totally different receptor sites than kratom does. The felt effect is very different. It does not produce a hangover. Yeah, I'm like trying to think anecdotally, like people that have taken a lot, if they've ever told me. Like, I mean, I know someone that did an entire gram of Kanna intranasally, which is like 100 times more than what you should do, and I don't even think they had a hangover. So
is a gram like that thing that I bought from you, that little circle thing?
Yeah. So I mean, this is one of the products that we sell.
Yep,
it's just
that's the one that I have.
A gram of pure extract powder, and so a dose of this, like mixing it into a drink, would be like anywhere between 20 and 50 milligrams. If you were to take it intranasally, then you could do as low as 10 milligrams and still have a really nice feeling from it. And so when I say someone did an entire gram, that's like
a lot.
10x that.
Yeah. And how long does
or 100 times that, sorry.
How long does that feeling go for?
So when you take Kanna, typically the initial onset is quite pronounced and can feel pretty strong, and that will last for about 20 to 30 minutes. And again, that's going to vary depending on someone's tolerance.
Yep.
After that initial come up, it then settles into just this really nice, like glowing, euphoric, happy space, and that will last for about 2 to 3 hours. And then after 3 hours, you're back to baseline, no hangover, no come down. It's non-addictive. In fact, it can actually really help people with addiction cravings, and it seems to have a reverse tolerance where the more people take Kanna, the more sensitive they get to it, like the less that they need.
And if you have a lot of food in your system, or does that affect it all? Like how it will affect you, or does it?
Yeah, it's not going to create nausea. Like you can eat or not eat. If you're taking it orally, I suppose if you have food in your stomach that's like blocking a capsule from getting properly absorbed,
yep,
then that could affect it. But if you're taking it sublingually, then it doesn't matter if you ate or not.
Okay. I mean, it's it does seem like a lot of the younger folks are not drinking as much, which I think is amazing. I think that when I look at just my overall life with booze, that's when I've made some really bad decisions in my life, and plus then you just feel like complete shit the next day. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a very positive thing that people are finding new things like this to enjoy life and get more in touch with who they are, and explore new items out there that
I think if you were like looking for the ideal social high, what would you say? Like you wanted something that altered you just enough to where you felt more open, like more conversational, more relaxed in social settings, like easier for you to connect, but you were still functional, like you weren't so messed up that you can't function, that you only wanted it to last for maybe like 2 to 3 hours, and then you just want to be back to normal and don't want to feel like shit. You want to be able to sleep that night, and you don't want to get addicted to it, and you want it to be legal. Kanna would be that ideal social substance you were looking for.
That's great. So do you want to talk about some of the different things you have there?
Sure.
Different products?
Yeah. So if people go on the website, they'll see the primary products are these pure extract powders. And so it's just 1 gram of pure Kanna extract powder, and we have different profiles. A simple way of explaining that is like if people are familiar with cannabis and there's different strains that feel different ways, the different profiles feel different ways, and the names just, they say how they feel. And these are very versatile. They come with a little like measuring spoon, and you can put it into a drink. That's where I would recommend most people start, is just scooping some into like a tea or a coffee. You can put a little bit under your tongue. For those that have tried taking things intranasally, you can take it that way.
That's how I tried it the first time.
That is by far the strongest way to take it. It's very strong. But we also have chocolates on our site. This is another really easy way for people to try it. It's just like 2 cubes in there is a full dose. There's also the Kanna Dailies, which I think people might be really interested in. Those are formulas that stack Kanna with other natural ingredients, like other plant extracts, for specific use cases. And so the idea is to create natural ways to help support mental health. So like one formula is called Play, and the other ingredients in it are really good for boosting mood. There's another one called Relax that's really good for helping with stress. So you can read the different formulas that are on there, and they're designed to make it really easy, like no measuring. You just take one capsule a day, and hopefully a lot of people report getting a lot of support in different areas that they need it.
Yeah, and I believe I bought some small little gummy things that have your product in it, but then they also have something for like sex to make.
Oh, that's a really cool company. Yeah, Fungi.
Yeah.
Fungi.com is the FUNGUY. They have, those are becoming really popular. They're sex gummies that they made. Yeah,
so I bought those for my wife, and she looked at me like, I'm not fucking taking those, but I will continue to work on you.
Yeah.
After you've been married for 22 years, anything I can do that.
Well, maybe she'll listen to the podcast and be intrigued by Kanna.
Yeah.
And the possibilities.
And what's your whole take on, like, people look at me and they go, well, you're not sober, Bill. Like you play in plants and whatever else, but you don't drink, and who do you think you are saying you're sober? And I'm like, well, sober today is defined totally different than it was 20 years ago, and I know for myself that being sober from alcohol, and while I may not be completely sober, but that's the thing that just doesn't work for me, and so I'm now sober curious, I guess. What's your?
I haven't heard sober curious. I've heard California sober, but sober.
Well, and we call it LA sober.
Yeah, LA
that's
sober.
What we call it. What's your take on that?
I think it's really interesting when you look at I don't even know if I want to say the traditional, but like the historic substances of abuse or used socially. You have cocaine, alcohol, like these are compounds that inflate the ego, or like ketamine is becoming super popular right now. They're dissociative. Alcohol is dissociative or like disconnecting, where like Kanna and a lot of the psychedelics are more connecting, like they bring you closer to yourself. And I think that's a lot healthier than these other substances. And I don't know, you go back to any period, like as far back as you can go, humans have always tried to alter their states of consciousness. I think it's really important
Yeah,
to do that.
Exactly.
Especially today, like, I think with any substances, including psychedelics, you have to be careful of the risk of that, like, trying to escape into a fantasy. And really, like, all the actual change that improves our lives, like, has to happen outside of that space. But having those experiences to just open up and help you connect socially can be so healing. Or having a big experience with mushrooms, it just, like, gets you out of this, like, rut, or gives you a perspective that you just wouldn't have been able to attain otherwise. I think these are crucial tools to have. And yeah, I think social use is very, very healing and important as well.
Yeah, I was, this is back in probably 1999 or 2000, and it was back in, I was living off of Sunset, and it was like after college, and it was like just craziness. And back then, we were all doing a bunch of ecstasy all the time, and back then it was so strong. It's so strong compared to what it is today. But also, like, ketamine was around, and I remember this was probably like 5 a.m. at someone's house, and someone I was with thought it was blow, and it was K, and it was like a line. And I remember this person did it all, and she went in the K-hole like I've never seen.
The K-hole of all
I mean,
K-holes.
she was like off her fucking rocker, man. And then there were some friends I had that enjoy going to those K-holes, and like I never wanted to go into one of those, so I would always do like just a small amount. But I mean, I've seen people like.
So I've never done it recreationally or socially. I've only done it, with a therapist where they inject it, and so you're intentionally going into a K-hole, like fully disconnected from your body. I mean, for me. But
you felt safe because you were with a place that's what they do. And
yeah. I think all of that. Again, I don't have the context of the other kind of experience to really compare it, but I've also done a lot of work with psychedelics. So it's probably, I think it's very subjective, but for me, it was a very powerful psychedelic experience. And it, I wasn't going into it with, like needing help from depression or needing help with, I forget what the other things are that people go to ketamine for therapeutically.
Addiction, depression.
I didn't go into it with anything like that, and so.
Well, lucky you.
I think it. It was a very like liberating, freeing experience, and I could see how someone who was being weighed down by depression, that would be an enormous relief. That experience.
I mean, I'm big on microdosing, and I'll take I could take one and work and I'm fine and whatever, but like I'll go out and it's just enough. And the thing I like about it is like you can just hear everything around you, and it's so crystal clear. And I truly believe that it allows your I'm going to say this in the most simple term, but it allows your brain to go in other areas that you wouldn't go into before. And so even after when I'm not feeling that at all, I do look at things differently, and I do feel like I am gentler to myself as well to everyone around me that I wouldn't be if I've never gone through these different types of experiences.
I mean, to me that sounds like a really important, like very, very healing, and almost more important than having an experience of like complete transcendence is like something like that really changes your everyday experience here. And
so right before COVID, I said, okay, I'm not going to drink anymore. And while I wasn't completely not drinking, because I would still drink like sips of my wife's drinks, whatever, but maybe like a big drink. And then I tried drinking again, and it was the same thing. It was like I'd go through the fun zone, make fucking horrible decisions. And so then I quit 2.5 years ago almost. And I think what got me through it was microdosing. I think that's what really got me through those first 4 to 6 months, because I had those, and it was a magic dose that allowed me to become completely sober from alcohol, and I haven't had a sip of it, and I don't even think about it. Like I don't miss it. I don't think about it. Well, I would say I don't miss it. Like sometimes if I'm walking by and someone's having like a glass of wine outside in the sun, like it looks kind of fun, but I'm like I just know where I go with it. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found microdosing.
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. Let's I am going to ask you some questions. The plant world taught me
to be myself.
That's beautiful, man. That's great. I love that. People think I'm crazy. Why?
People thought I was crazy when I first got into psychedelics. Now I think they understand.
Microdosing is just
awesome.
The future of partying is
health aware.
Well, listen, I am very happy, Ryan, that I met you last week. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for
I have learned more in this last week than I thought I would learn, and I still feel like I know nothing. But I am excited to continue my journey with Kanna. So where can people find you and find your products?
On KannaExtract.com. That is our website. We'll link it in the show notes, and we'll give you guys a discount code LA Sober for 10% off. KannaExtract.com. You can also reach out on Instagram if you have any questions. Just send us a message. It's at Kanna Extract.
Cool. And we have some gifts for you. We have a hat and a shirt for you.
I think it's just
Can
right.
you grab the hat? So these are some gifts from us. So this is our we play on, you guys will see it, Make Los Angeles Sober Again hat.
I love it.
Thank you. And then this is our LA Sober t-shirt. So these are for you. So thank you for coming on the pod. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Ryan. This was a beautiful conversation. So
My
thank you.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Cool, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.